Well, it's been a roller coaster ride so far. Now let's go to our main cover story for tonight. Here at Anonymous National, ANN News Channel 00-412, we strive to bring you the latest bullshit before the bullshit ends up on your front lawn and through your living room window. Now coming up soon, there is a statewide operation over the 4th of July weekend involving the State Highway Patrol, supposedly stopping drivers at checkpoints as they plan on pulling over countless drunk drivers, and have pulled in all active duty officers to assist with this joint operation. Let me add some words of logic and reason here. What makes them so sure that they'll capture their targeted number enough to claim this operation a success on this specific weekend, enough to pull all available officers in to work this operation shift? Meanwhile, any drug dealers or other illegal activity would be sure to take advantage of the hours of this operation's relief schedule, as there would not be enough officers available. If anything happened, or their attention would be diverted to the highways at this time, and not the cities. Honestly, it sounds as though ICE is making a second attempt at striking at California. So be prepared, this operation sounds like a sham. Now for some local intelligence. How many wonder why the Bay Area really experienced the blackout a few months ago, and why the military claimed to be operating on some training exercise with the sheriff's department at the time? Let's go into detail involving a simulated situation that was taken as a serious exercise as we flip the bullshit they feed us back on them and see how they like it. Try and set me up and betray me. I told you I don't handle betrayal very well. And I'm sure you can guess why.
In a tenant's near-future scenario, a civilian operator finds themselves at the center of a national emergency. As political tensions escalate, reports emerge of a compromised communication system at the White House, raising alarms about the government's stability. With military forces allegedly being deployed against civilians and rumors of preemptive strikes against foreign nations, the operator realizes that they may soon be in danger. They learn of a critical protocol. If activated, it would enable them to access the defense network through the Emergency Civil Defense Broadcast Channel, utilizing a satellite link to major news networks like ABC, NBC, or CBS. As the operator prepares to initiate the civilian operator lockout protocol, they understand the gravity of their actions. This protocol would alert the defense network and require all chains of command to authenticate their status. If authentication fails, control of defense measures would fall to the operator, forcing them to make an unthinkable choice. With a list of countries, China, Russia, Iran, Venezuela, and North Korea, targeted for potential counterstrikes, the operator grapples with the weight of their responsibility. Knowing that their location may soon be compromised, they steel themselves for the decision ahead, recognizing that their actions could lead to dire consequences. As military forces close in, the authentication from the chain of command standing between them and a catastrophic escalation, they brace for the moment of truth. This is no drill. It is a test of resolve, duty, and the moral complexities of command in a crisis. In the face of uncertainty and danger, the operator must find a way to navigate this precarious situation, hoping for a resolution that avoids further conflict while securing safety for themselves and their country. The air was thick with tension as the sun sank beneath the horizon, casting long shadows across the control room. A series of urgent reports flickered across the screens, each one more alarming than the last. The civilian operator, a former analyst with a background in crisis management, felt a knot tighten in their stomach. The nation was on the brink, and they were caught in the eye of the storm. It began with whispers of a compromised communication system within the White House, a situation that had spiraled into chaos. Military forces were being dispatched to quell unrest among civilians, and the news networks were flooded with conflicting narratives as images of soldiers in fatigues filled the screen. The operator knew they had to act swiftly. The operator recalled the protocol they had studied.
a last resort for times of extreme crisis. If they could access the defense network through the Emergency Civil Defense Broadcast Channel, they might be able to avert disaster. This channel, connected to satellites owned by ABC, NBC, and CBS, held the key. With a deep breath, they began the process of connecting to the system, fingers trembling over the keyboard. Authentication required. A voice crackled over the intercom, snapping the operator's attention back to the task at hand. They initiated the civilian operator lockout protocol, sending an alert through the emergency broadcast channel. Time was of the essence. They had to ensure all chains of command authenticated their status before it was too late.
Anxiously, the operator monitored the responses, knowing that if no one authenticated within the given time frame, control of the defensive measures would fall to them. The weight of this realization bore down heavily. If that happened, they would have to make decisions that could lead to catastrophic consequences. As the seconds ticked by, the operator compiled a list of potential threats: China, Russia, Iran, Venezuela, North Korea. These were the nations that had recently instigated conflict or threatened the United States. Each name felt like a weight on their conscience, a reminder of the gravity of their situation. They knew what would follow if they proceeded with the counterattack launch sequence. Suddenly, the room's door swung open and a figure in military uniform rushed in.
"We need to evacuate! We're compromised!"
The frantic urgency in the soldier's voice sent a chill through the operator. They felt their pulse quicken as they weighed the options. The military force's arrival could mean their own safety was in jeopardy, yet it also meant the situation was rapidly deteriorating. "Listen to me," the operator said, voice steady despite the chaos. "I need to initiate the lockout protocol. If authentication fails, it's on me to make the call. We have to hold off until we hear back from command." The soldier hesitated, a mix of confusion and fear flickering across their face. "You can't be serious. We're talking about nuclear options here." "I'm aware," the operator replied, their mind racing. "But if we don't follow through, we may face a greater threat. I need you to trust me." As the tension in the room mounted, the operator turned back to the screens, ready to enter the launch targets into the counter-struck computer. The gravity of the moment hit them. This was not just a protocol, it was a potential prelude to war.
"Authentication!"
A voice echoed through the speakers, breaking the silence. The operator's heart raced as they awaited the responses. Each second felt like an eternity, and the pressure was mounting. If command did not authenticate, they would be forced to act. "Please, let them respond," the operator whispered under their breath, desperation creeping into their voice. They could feel the weight of history resting on their shoulders, and the enormity of their responsibility was almost paralyzing. As the military presence grew outside, the operator prepared for the worst. They had to be ready for anything. The world outside was in chaos, and the decisions made in this dimly lit room could ripple across the globe. "Here we go," they murmured, fingers poised over the keyboard as they prepared to enter the launch sequence. It was a moment of clarity amidst the chaos. Either they would be able to avert disaster or plunge the world into conflict. The choice lay in their hands, and there was no turning back now. In that moment, the operator knew they stood at the threshold of command, a sentinel in a world unraveling. All they could do was hope for a response, a sign that their country would not descend into darkness. This was no drill. It was a test of resolve, morality, and the weight of authority in an uncertain world. As the operator's fingers hovered above the keyboard, the weight of the moment pressed heavily on their chest. The flickering screens illuminated their determined face, casting shadows that danced like specters of doubt. Outside, they could hear the distant rumble of military vehicles, a stark reminder that time was running out. The operator's mind raced back to their training. They had prepared for emergencies, studied crisis management, and even simulated scenarios like this one. Yet, no amount of preparation could truly equip someone for the reality of such immense power and responsibility. The decision before them was not just theoretical.
It was a potential catalyst for global conflict. They recalled the conversations they'd had with colleagues about the importance of the chain of command. Always follow orders, but know when to question them. One mentor had said, it had seemed like sage advice, but now, faced with the possibility of initiating a counterstrike, those words felt like an anchor dragging them deeper into uncertainty. With a deep breath, the operator forced themselves to focus. The screens displayed a countdown timer, ticking ominously. They needed to make a decision before the clock ran out. The protocol dictated that if the chain of command failed to authenticate, they would assume control. They were the last line of defense, not just for themselves, but for millions of lives. Sir, we can't wait much longer, the soldier urged, glancing anxiously at the door. We need to evacuate now! They're closing in. Evacuate where? The operator shot back, their voice sharper than intended. Everywhere is compromised. If we leave, we abandon our post, and then what? Chaos reigns. We have to hold the line. The soldier's expression hardened, a flicker of respect mingled with frustration. And what if you're wrong? What if this isn't even a threat? We could end up declaring war over a misunderstanding. The operator turned back to the screens, heart pounding. They understood the soldier's fear. They felt it too. But the stakes were too high to gamble on uncertainty. If we don't act, we may face a greater threat. We need to give command a chance to respond. If they authenticate, we stand down. If not, I'll make the call. The countdown continued, and the operator could feel the tension in the room escalate. They glanced at the clock, then back at the screens. The list of potential targets loomed in their mind. Nations with whom relationships had soured, governments that had issued threats, and regimes that had challenged U.S. authority. Each name was a reminder of the fragile balance of power in the world. As the final seconds ticked down, the operator's thoughts raced. They envisioned the consequences of their actions. Missile silos activating, warheads being launched, and lives irrevocably changed.
Danger. The emergency disrupt system is now activated.
They thought of families, children, and the innocent people caught in the crossfire. With every heartbeat, they questioned their decision. But the urgency of the situation left little room for doubt. Then, the intercom crackled to life. Attention! Authentication required. The operator's heart leapt at the sound, but their pulse quickened at the realization that time was nearly up. Come on! Come on! They whispered, urging the unseen officials to respond. We need you now! Just as the countdown reached its final moments, a series of notifications lit up the screens. Authentication granted. A voice announced, a mixture of relief and disbelief washing over the operator. Command has authenticated. The tension in the room shifted, a palpable sense of hope replacing the fear that had gripped them moments before. The operator's heart raced with gratitude, but the reality of the situation still weighed heavily. They had narrowly avoided a catastrophic escalation, but the danger was far from over. The soldier exhaled deeply, a mix of relief and exhaustion evident in their posture. You did it. You held the line. Not just me, the operator replied, their voice steadier now. We're a team. Now we need to secure this facility and ensure that everyone is safe. We can't let our guard down yet. As they began to coordinate with the remaining military personnel, the operator took a moment to reflect on what had just transpired. They had faced a crisis that tested not only their skills, but their moral compass. The threat of war had loomed large, and they had been thrust into a position of immense responsibility. In the aftermath, as the military secured the perimeter and communications were restored, the operator felt a renewed sense of purpose. They understood that their role was more than just following orders. It was about making decisions that could save lives and protect the nation. This experience would linger in their mind, a profound reminder of the thin line between order and chaos, and the heavy burden that came with authority. The world outside might have been chaotic, but in that moment, they had made the right choice.
And that was what mattered most. As they looked out of the control room window, watching the night sky lit by distant stars, the operator vowed to continue standing watch, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The threshold of command had transformed them, and they would carry that transformation forward, ever vigilant in a world fraught with uncertainty. Though this was a happy ending, the truth of what happened was not as it was portrayed here. In truth, no one authenticated the chain of command. In fact, no one initiated this protocol at all. The operator had no contact from DC. This scenario was put in place in case the capital ever came to fall in control of enemy hands. Not only was protocol not followed, the response from Washington sent an order to try and have me arrested by ICE, who tried to sweep into the city and capture me, but I escaped from their attempt. That evening, ICE arrived on the outskirts and we fought them back from terrorizing the city. When that failed, they caused the blackout while the ICE attempted to target key figures. To summarize, what this all means is that a military countermeasure that is in place to check and make sure this country is still in our control was initiated, and they failed to properly check in and responded with force to such an attempt. After that, well, you've seen the news, the attack against Venezuela, the war against Iran, and he calls it a peace negotiation. More like terms of surrender, if the news can even be trusted anymore. This is not a fictional story. Details have been altered,